With Iran entering a decisive and highly uncertain phase, we now turn to Mitra Jashni.
The regime and the IRGC are to blame for this war. It can escalate in any direction. Leadership now matters. Targeted repression apparatus, not civilian infrastructure. Victory for Iranians means taking back their country. Words of Mitra Jashni in a recent interview with ILTV News.
This war could go in any direction. We are dealing with a regime that is highly unpredictable, a system that has shown many times that it does not value its own people or even its own land, and is driven by ideology more than rational calculation. So anything is...
Iranian Americans for Liberty strongly condemns the so-called Transitional Justice Committee. Iranian Americans for Liberty strongly condemns the Committee for Drafting Transitional Justice Regulations, chaired by Shirin Ebadi and composed of Afshin Elian, Iraj Mestaghi, and Leila Bahmani. Its orientation, composition, and publicly stated positions stand in clear contradiction to the rule of law and the sovereign will of the Iranian people. At the same time, we first and foremost affirmed the legitimacy of Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi as the rightful representative and heir under Iran's constitutional monarchy, which remains the only legitimate constitution of the country. Under this constitutional order, legislative authority is vested exclusively in the nationally elected Majlis. Separation of powers is guaranteed, and the rule of law forms the foundation of governance. Prince Reza Pahlavi has repeatedly affirmed his commitment to justice, rule of law, and democracy. Any rule or authority he holds derives directly from his constitutional and monarchy's framework. Any attempt to bypass or disregard these foundations risk plunging Iran into legal uncertainty, where authority, responsibility, and leadership lack clear definition. This unelected group of 4 individuals without any popular mandate or parliamentary legitimacy has presumed to draft the rules governing transitional courts while simultaneously positioning itself to oversee their implementation. Such a merging of legislative and judicial authority in a single unelected body constitutes a direct violation of the principle of separation of powers, one of the foundational pillars of the constitutional monarchy, which recognizes the Majlis as the sole legislative authority. It is precisely from legal experts that stricter adherence to these principles should be expected. Furthermore, the approach of this committee reflects a troubling top-down detachment from the realities of Iranian society. By placing themselves in a position to predetermine frameworks of judgment and punishment for the entire nation, they adopt a posture fundamentally incompatible with democratic governance and popular sovereignty. Fox News, in a report titled Silent Massacre, wrote that the Islamic Republic is carrying out executions of its own citizens on an unprecedented scale while hiding behind the atmosphere of war. Reports indicate that according to the Iran Human Rights Society, at least 657 executions were recorded in Iran in just the first 3 months of 2026, a figure suggesting that the Islamic Republic is on track to surpass its 2025 execution record. In the report, a spokesperson for the United States State Department told Fox News Digital this latest act of brutality once again shows why this regime must never be allowed to obtain the advanced capabilities we are working to dismantle. The judiciary of the Islamic Republic has announced that the death sentence of Amir Hossein Hatami, one of the detained protesters in the case related to the fire at the Kaveh Basij base on Damavand Street in Tehran during the January national uprising, has been carried out. It had previously been reported that 5 protest detainees in this case were transferred from the general ward of Qazil Hizar prison to an undisclosed location for the implementation of their sentences. In addition to Amir Hossein Hatami, Mohammad Amin Biglari, Shaheen, Vahid Paras, Kelvar, Abulfaz Salehi Siavashani, and Ali Fahim are among those facing an immediate risk of execution. The case of these 5 prisoners were reviewed in Branch 15 of the Tehran Revolutionary Court, presided over by Abul Qasim Salawati, and their death sentences were issued on February 7th. As of now, no information has been released regarding the status of other 4 prisoners. Based on received information, Peyvand Naimi, a Baha'i citizen imprisoned in a facility in Kerman, is at serious risk of execution after being subjected to 2 mock executions, torture, and prolonged interrogations. Reports indicate that security agencies are attempting to force him to confess to charges he has not committed. Peyvand Naimi, along with Venus Hosseini Nejad and Shayan Shakibai, was arrested by security forces on January 7, 2026, before the peak of the national uprising. Images of all 3 were broadcast on February 1st on state television while they were giving confessions. According to these reports, following the broadcast of this forced confession, Peyvand Naimi was transferred to Kerman prison and later placed in solitary confinement. As of now, no trial has been held, no verdict has been issued, and no evidence has been presented to support these allegations. It has also been reported that Mr. Naimi has been suffering from persistent involuntary eyelid twitching and gastrointestinal issues. Yet prison authorities have denied him medical care. No further information have been released about his current condition or the details of his detention. Based on received information, Karim Jalili, a nationalist activist from Masjid Suleiman, was arrested on the morning of March 13th by plainclothes agents and taken to an undisclosed location. Reports indicate that he was detained by 4 agents using a white Samand vehicle, and no information has since been made available about his whereabouts or condition. Jalili had previously been arrested during the protests of 2017, 2019, and 2022, and had been repeatedly threatened due to his social media activity and support for Hamid Korkur, Women's Day, and protesting youth in Izeh. It is also reported that after his arrest, content from his Instagram page was deleted and messages expressing regret were sent from his account to some of his contacts. In a separate case, Hedayat Yadegar Salehi, a nationalist political activist from Khuzestan, was also violently arrested at his family home. As of now, no information has been released regarding his place of detention, condition, or the authority responsible for his arrest. Based on received information, a new wave of arrests has been reported in recent days across various cities in Iran, with the number of detainees reaching at least 857. Among them, the identities of 3 young citizens, Ashkan Kamali, Rasul Nikzad, and Omid Tajik Kha, have been confirmed. They were arrested for sending images to foreign media and transferred to Khorin prison in Varamin. At the same time, the commander-in-chief of the country's law enforcement has announced the arrest of hundreds of citizens on charges such as espionage, sending images, online activity, selling Starlink equipment, and links with opposition groups. Additionally, 5 more citizens have been arrested in Iran and Bidgol. Despite the scale of these arrests, no information has been released about the identities of many detainees, their place of detention, or their condition, raising serious concerns about their fate. Based on received information, amid an intensified security climate Judicial authorities of the Islamic Republic have reported the arrest of a number of citizens inside the country and the seizure of assets belonging to at least 37 Iranian citizens living abroad. In this context, Gholam Hossein Mohseni Ejei, head of the judiciary, announced the confiscation of assets belonging to 20 citizens abroad and the issuance of indictments seeking the harshest punishments for some detainees, accusing them of cooperation with foreign networks and services. The prosecutor of Mashhad also stated that the assets of 17 other citizens have been seized on charges of acting against national security and interests. Reports further indicate the launch of a system designed to rapidly identify individuals, assets, and enforce seizure orders. These statements have referenced penalties such as execution and asset confiscation. However, no information has been released regarding the identities of those involved, details of the cases, or the whereabouts of the detainees. Based on received information, the nationwide internet shutdown in Iran has now entered its 35th consecutive day. And after 816 hours, connectivity to the global network has dropped to just 1% of normal levels. Reports indicate that this digital blackout has now entered its 5th consecutive week, leaving a large portion of Iran's population cut off from the outside world, deprived of access to critical information and unable to make their voices heard. While access to the global internet has effectively been cut off, only parts of the domestic network and a limited number of local services remain available. Observers say this situation further enables censorship, monopolization of narratives, and the concealment of the scale of repression and conflict.